Hello and welcome to another special Masters episode of The Thing About Golf, episode 88, from our man John Huggan on the grounds at Augusta National. Earlier this week, we heard from 1998 champion Mark O'Meara, and if you didn't catch that, it's a really worthwhile listen. Recommend you go back and press play. But on this episode, we go back a bit further to one of the game's most interesting characters and one of the great Masters victories, Ian Woosnam in 1991. It's a long way from Wales to Augusta, and as you'll hear in this extensive chat, it's been a remarkable journey, both before and since that historic win.
Okay, welcome to the latest edition of the Thing About Golf podcast. I've got a very special guest sitting opposite me here, wearing a very special garment, as it turns out. Green jacket. Here we're at Augusta doing this one. Ian Woosnam. The first question is always the same in these things. What was the thing about golf for you?
Well, golf for me was like when my parents started playing, and I basically just loved it from the day I started playing it, you know. Stationary ball, little tiny hole, and it was about getting in there as many little shots as possible, and just loved it from that day.
I mean, you're famously, I'm going to have to say the word, shorter than most world-class players.
That's quite pleasant.
Yeah, I mean, when you were younger, I mean, did that limit you in how many sports that you were able to play at a reasonable level?
Not really. Yeah. I was fortunate. I was fetched up on a farm. I was very strong.
Yeah.
And being shorter. Funny enough, like all my other brothers and sisters and parents are 4 inches taller than me, and really? I just happened to be the runt of the family.
Right. Yeah.
You know, my legs never grew long enough. I always had trouble with my legs, strangely enough, and I was, called growing pains when I was young. I don't know if that's something maybe it didn't grow long enough.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop me. I loved playing soccer, football. All sorts of gymnastics. I was always pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And it got to the stage I was asked to play for Shropshire at football and golf as well. For Shropshire.
What position did you play at football?
I was midfield,
right.
left half, something like that.
Were you left-footed? Were you?
No.
No.
But I was one of these. I had to play left-footed. I had to make myself.
Right. Okay.
Learn to kick it left-footed.
Yeah.
And I was always stubborn then.
Yeah.
So. I was the only one who would do it anyway.
Yeah.
But I just enjoyed all sports, but then golf I got to that stage, which one am I going to do? Am I going to play soccer, or am I going to play football, or am I going to play golf? And I just said, that's it.
And once golf gets inside you, it's, that's it really, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I was, wasn't the best at it, but I always believed in if I could do one good round, I could do another one.
Yeah. Mm. And what age were you when it became apparent that there was some talent there?
14, 15.
Yeah.
My partner was Sandy Lyle.
I'm going to ask you about Sandy. I mean, there's famous stories of it. I mean, Sandy was a prodigy. I mean, he was ridiculously good at that age, wasn't he? I mean,
well, we played around yesterday, and, Sandy at 12, 13, 14, 15, you could see he was going to be one of the best players in the world. So I had something to aim at. And, I've said this many times, if it wasn't for Sandy, I don't think I'd be where I am.
You think?
I might have been, but... Yeah. I knew what I had to play against and where I needed to be, and that was the big thing. And, trouble with being on the farm, and I didn't really get the time like Sandy did to play and practice. I'd only play like a Wednesday evening, we'd go up for 9 holes after milking the cows, and then in the summer and then the weekend on a Sunday we'd milk the cows, go and play and come back and milk the cows. It was hard work. And then as I turned pro at 18, I travelled around in the van, parked it on the practice ground. That's where I learned my trade.
Yeah. Did you? I've never heard you talk about milking the cows before. Did you do that manually?
No. The thing is, I couldn't do it for a while because I couldn't reach to put we couldn't put the milking machine into the thing where the milk went around into the tank. Yeah. So I had to have a box to do it.
Right, okay. Yeah, but I mean, I first saw Sandy in 1975 at Bruntsfield. I think you were there for the British Boys Champion. He was playing for England boys against Scotland boys. Yeah, when I first saw him.
Right, that wasn't Bruntsfield.
Bruntsfield in Edinburgh.
And I know. I played in the match play. What was that?
Yeah,
British Boys match play.
Yeah, Brian Marshbank won it. He beat Sandy in the final.
Well, he beat me in the quarterfinals.
There you go. Right.
He finished with 5 birdies to beat me. If he hadn't beat me, I would have played Sandy most probably.
Yeah, that would have been fun to watch.
Yeah.
But anyway, as I say, Sandy, I mean, he would be, 16, 17, whatever he was.
We were, 15, 16.
I remember him hitting these one irons. It was like coming out of a gun.
Exactly,
It was ridiculous how good he was.
Yeah, used to, with the old slashing driver, he had the big-headed one. He used to ball used to start low and rise, which the balls did in them days. And, we all did it, but he was just better at when he was younger than anybody else, really.
So where were you relative to him at that point?
Well,
you say he was the target, but how far away from that target were you?
I was quite away from where he was, really. But I could some days, I could shoot the 68, 66s, and that's what I said a minute ago. That's what I believed in. If I could do it once, I could do it again. And I always said to myself, well, and my dad said to me, you've got to treat this as an apprenticeship when you turn professional. Give yourself 5 years, and God, it was about 5 years where I started. It took me to 22 or something till I started making it.
Yeah, well, that's always intrigued me about you, is that your swing was so good and so orthodox and so swish swish.
Yeah.
And why the hell did it take you so long? I mean, what was going on at that point? Was it a mental thing or short game or
Exactly.
It couldn't have been your swing.
It was a bit my swing. It was a lot of things to do to make it better. I went to spend a lot of time with John Jacobs, and he just said, just keep playing, just keep playing.
Yeah.
And he always used to say, just change your swing to what the ball does. If you learn how the ball moves, that's how in the days, if it starts to the right and hooks, you're coming in from the inside, releasing it. If it starts left, low, you're coming over the top, chopping it. It's all.
He was always that way. I'll tell you. Yeah.
Then, basically, I went to see Gavin Christie.
Right.
Now that was
one of the interesting encounters.
It was, yes, I know that was.
He's a character, wasn't he?
He was a character. We called him the Rhino.
Yeah.
Thick-skinned and charged a lot.
Yes, that's very good. Yeah.
He was a great guy, a great character. But I went with DJ Russell, and we went up to Derby there, where he was somewhere, and he showed me the move coming into the ball, which was the back of the left wrist down and square, almost like, so it felt to me like a cricket shot. Obviously, I was just releasing too early, getting the head too much in front, and I was too inconsistent. That started working, but also, as you say, attitude. I was in Africa, and Gordon Brand Senior, bless his soul, I can remember he's leading the tournament, and we're on the range, and he's hitting it all over the place. And I thought, well, what are I worrying about? My man's not even moving, you know. And I thought, well, I start accepting bad shots and get on with it. And I started accepting bad shots. And I think that was the difference in playing better.
Was there ever a point where you thought, I'm not going to do this? Yeah. Talk to me about that.
British Open, the Open, qualifying Princess, 18th hole. I've lead in the first day, 67.
What year would that be?
God knows, I don't know what it year.
81?
Something like that.
Rogers won?
It might have been the year with Sandy won, 85.
Yeah.
Would I have been in it? I probably would have been in it. Must have been when Rogers won.
You were on tour by then, yeah.
And I coming down the 18th hole, down the fence, down the left-hand side, teed it up, and hit it out of bounds about 50 yards in front of me. I didn't even pick the ball up. I just picked my clubs up and walked straight to my dormobile and drove all the way home and said, I'm going to get a club job.
Right.
My dad persuaded me to, give it a few weeks, think about it, and then obviously a few weeks later I got back into it, and that was it really. Got back into it and started winning after that.
That must have been a long drive back, wasn't it?
It was a long way.
Was there tears involved?
Yeah, most probably, I was pretty angry.
Yeah.
I must probably smashed a few things on the way as well.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's always intrigued me because, like everybody, I watch your swing and you think, wow, why did it take so long for this kid to make it, even onto the tour?
Yeah, it was just about, He was a little loose, my swing, and I needed to tighten it up. And just, as I say, I needed a safe shot. And I had that. I began getting a safe shot was me, like over the top, hit a low cut when I got under pressure. Yeah. And that, then it fitted into, everything fitted in after that.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a few adventures, and you've told me these stories before, and forgive me for asking for them again because they're great. The van breaking down and all this sort of stuff. I mean, the people who haven't heard them, they'll enjoy these.
I mean, we're playing in Nairn, Northern Open.
Northern Open, yeah.
And the next qualifying is in Milan. So we got a drive from Milan, and I'm with a guy called Joe Higgins.
Yeah.
From Milan, from Nairn to Milan.
Yeah, for Nairn, people who don't know, it's right in the far north of Scotland. Yeah.
Well, I remember pretty well driving for 10 hours, and I got to Glasgow.
Yeah.
And when I got to Glasgow, and I have to say to my friend, look, Joe, you'll have to drive. But when you get to, like, sort of where we used to live in Shropshire, Shrewsbury, I said, well, wake me up. He's never driven. And he said, I've never driven before. I said, no, look, all you got to do is get in the front, put your foot on the accelerator, keep it at 50 miles per hour, and just wake me up when we get there. Of course, he wakes me up.
It sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, anyway, it's gone away, but he wakes me up when I was in Birmingham. So we're going past a good hour past where we're going. So anyway, I had to go back and get some money or something, whatever I had anyway, from Hill Valley at the time. Yeah. And I drove for two days straight to Milan. Wow. And then we get to Milan, and this caravan,
you're sleeping in this thing as well.
Yeah, and like Joe was just making bacon egg sandwiches when we're going, and all sorts of baked beans, and I was eating them. And get to Milan, and he just conks out. It was sort of like shudder along at 10 miles per hour, and I thought, oh my God, the engine's gone.
In Italy, this is.
And we got to qualify at a place called Monticello. So we get to this place called Monticello, wrong place. So now we got to go other side of the city, doing this 10 miles, but eventually get there. Anyway, get there, we both qualify. So we go down to the garage, and it's a bit of a long story. The guy says, can I help you? Sort of like working it all out. No, that's first of all, I've gone to get, so we're, eventually we get, eventually one of the, in the middle of the day, I thought it must be the petrol, so I'd gone off with a petrol can, I come back, and I get the petrol, and this guy, because you're okay, you've got a funnel. Right. In Italy and a veteran. Yes, I haven't got one now. He says, well, come to my house. So I go to his house, and he gets this funnel. And he says, where is your car? I said, it was about half a mile. So he's got his push bike. So I'm on the steering, on handlebars, and he's riding, and I've got the petrol can on this. So, no,
the glamour of it all.
Oh, right, yeah. Anyway, eventually we go to this other garage, and all it was a little tube would come out, because a Volkswagen, it goes off air. Right. And this little tube would come off, put it back on, it was just like a Rolls Royce again. Yeah. So happy. Yeah. Finished 11th that week.
Oh, very good. Yeah. And was there a moment where it clicked then?
What?
Where you thought your game, you suddenly got over the hump?
Oh, yeah.
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 When was that?
It was sort of like in Africa, 1982. Right. And I came third in the Order of Merit, and became third in the Order of Merit in Africa. It meant you didn't have to qualify for the European Tour. Right. So first tour was straight away, I think it was Sardinia, something like that. Right. I think Mark James won, or Bobby Clampett, one of them two, and I went joint second or something. Right. And straight away I made the top 60 with that for second place. Yeah. So I didn't have to qualify for the next year. So it took the pressure off. I don't know, I had about 5 seconds, and then I ended up winning the European Open, whatever it was, at Swiss Open I won, 1982, yeah. But the week before was quite interesting, because we played the Benson Hedges, and I finished second to Greg Norman, and he said some really nice stuff about me. Right. But as I'll tell you one of the stories with Greg, would be in Australia. This is quite interesting. So Pete Coleman's caddying for him. Right. And we've gone down the second hole, and we both hit drives. There's one ball here, 30 yards short of the other. So Pete Coleman puts his bag down. Greg shakes his head. He walks up all the way, right up to this ball, and he says, this is going to be embarrassing. Mm-hmm. And he has to walk all the way back to his own ball.
And this little guy.
And Greg says, who the hell's this little S person? Yeah. But then, as we finished, he said, this guy's going to win a lot of tournaments. And went out and won the next week after it.
What was it like to have money in your pocket for the first time then?
Oh, it was good. Yeah. It was obviously... It was nice having money, but I didn't really think too much of it. I was just thinking about, winning golf tournaments, and if you win golf tournaments, the money comes with it. Yeah.
At what point did you get married? I know you've been married a long time.
I won that tournament. She rung me up the next week.
Is that right?
I'd been going out with her before that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So you'll be all right.
Yeah. So she knew you before you were...
We went to school together.
Yeah. You're one of the longest marriages, I would think.
Some of them are on the third now.
I know. Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, let's not go there. But, you were, and then once you kind of established yourself, you were part of the kind of a golden age
Absolutely.
for European golf. I mean, there was that group of 5 that were, and then Ollie and Monty came along afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like in the midst of all that? I mean, they're very different people as well. 5 very different people.
Absolutely. You think like, that's one thing. We're all different.
Yeah, very different. I mean, you Faldo at one end and you at the other. I think.
Well, exactly.
Everyone in the middle. Yeah.
But to be ranked with them guys is, it is unbelievable. But you think. I won 30 odd tournaments in Europe. If you take the World Match Play, I won that 3 times. Mm-hmm. So I've no doubt about it. Between the whole 5 of us, how many tournaments every week? One of us was winning. One of them, then obviously Laswell come and Monty come, and it was incredible how many tournaments we won between us. And but it was that was a challenge. If you could beat these guys, you were beating the best players in the world anyway.
Yeah. I mean, see what you think of this. I mean, I was talking to somebody about this recently, and especially the way the world of pro golf's gone at the moment, I always think that there might have been was there an opportunity at that point where if you guys had gotten together and said, right, we're going to build something everywhere except America, because you guys were the best in the world at the time, and you could have carried it with you. You'd have got the sponsors. Was there an opportunity there, or did it even come up? I mean, maybe it didn't. You're too busy winning tournaments. But
I know Greg Norman wanted to always do like a world tour, but no, I think as we got a bit older, we could have established the European Seniors Tour better than it was if we'd all got together. But they all, some of us went all different ways. Sandy didn't start, lost it a little bit.
Yeah.
Nick started doing his commentary. Bernard, he's like a machine. One of the greatest players ever, Bernard Langer. And I did what I've done. I went off. You've got to have ambition to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I didn't. To come to the Seniors Tour in America, you got living in a suitcase it just becomes too much, and I couldn't get my enthusiasm about it.
You've never been a great fan of being over here for extended periods, have you?
No, not really. I can do a few weeks, and I want to get back to my family.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know whether you'd want to remember this or not, but I was at the first American major I ever went to was the 87 PGA. I remember you coming off the course. I've never seen a human being that wet who hadn't been in a swimming pool.
I mean, I'm not so bad in the heat these days. I don't know why. I must have got used to it. But 87, West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
And
it was.
And it's a ridiculous time to play a PGA tournament anyway. And you got the Bermuda grass. I hit some great shots, which I'd be 20 feet from the hole in the rough, and I'd walk away with a double bogey or something.
You were the best player in the world that year.
I couldn't play in it.
Yeah.
And I remember Renton Laylaw, and I said, I'm going home, Renton. He said, no, just finish it out. Right. That's what I did, and then I went home. And
I can remember. I can still picture in my mind's eye that you were unbelievable. You were soaked.
I know. I hated it.
Yeah. By that stage, of course, you were one of that elite group. What was it like? The Ryder Cup must have been fantastic at that point, because you guys turned it around from 83.
Yeah,
I mean, where you could have, should have, would have won, and then obviously did win from then on.
83, Nicholas again, same course.
Yeah, it was.
Same course.
Yeah.
Back in September again.
Yeah, it was a wee bit cooler then. Yeah.
A little bit cooler, but very interesting. Yeah, it was. We got close, very close, half a point. And obviously, you think, wow, we're playing these guys. And we lost by half a shot in their back garden, one of the hardest courses. We're going to go back to the Belfry.
I remember watching that on telly with my father, and there was nobody there.
No.
It was so different.
Very strange. Of course, then we go back to, the Belfry, and they put on a show.
Yeah.
And then, we won. Mm-hmm. And then the next year, 87, we're going to Jack Nicklaus's course, Millfield Village. And again, as you just said, there wasn't many Americans. All Americans who were coming out were ex-British, and a lot of the British-based people went to Columbus, Ohio because of the mine. Yeah. And then they had to get these flags. Jack had to get these flags and get these people going, and cheerleaders and everything. But it was a great, that was... For me, 87 was the greatest match ever, I think.
Aye. Well, you and Faldo, again, the most unlikely coupling, but my goodness, it worked well, didn't it?
Yeah, I can remember Tony coming to me and said, you're going to be all right playing with Nick Faldo. I thought, wow. I think, but it was quite an interesting pairing, really, because when I thought about it, I thought, this is a good move. Because I can rely on Nick being, make a few birdies there. It allowed me to just go free will, and I think most probably Nick thought the same thing a little bit. I'll be steady, but he might, he's going to come in birdies, and so we had a great partnership. At first day, we played, and I think we were playing foursomes or four balls, something, and we're a few down to someone, and it was quite interesting when you were talking to him, and then he said, we'll just be patient, we'll get him, which we were, and then we managed winning on the first or the 17th or something like that. On the 18th. I think we won on the 18th.
Right, yeah. What were the relationships like amongst that little group? Because you were trying to beat each other's brains in every week. But,
It was great. We all, obviously, as a team room, you all be together, and everybody was different. I was captain of the Ryder Cup, and I just said, there's no superstars in this team. You're all superstars to me.
Yeah.
So there's only one thing we want to do is win. Mm-hmm. So let's be a team.
Yeah. Were you aware at the time? I mean, you probably, these things are weird, but you were making history.
Yeah.
That,
in a way,
when you look back on it, you know that. But at the time, how?
I think we're making history. Getting the Ryder Cup back into history. It's what it's meant to have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the challenges, and we can see what it's moved on to now. But I think it was getting to stand where the European DP Tour is now, to be a force in golf, and I think with our generation helped to do that.
What were the highlights for you? Let's start with as a player. We'll get to your captaincy in a minute. Yeah,
as a player, I've always wanted to sort of first of all, my family. I wanted a lovely home for my family, my kids, all that, and win lots of trophies. Wanted to be best player in the world.
Were you driven by money?
I think, yeah.
Early on, you would think you would have to be.
I was.
Given how long you struggled.
I want to be a millionaire.
Nothing wrong with that.
And as I said earlier, if you just think of winning tournaments, and that happens.
Takes care of itself.
Of course, I won in Sun City. I won the $1 million.
Right.
That was exciting.
Yes.
Who were I playing down the last two holes? Me and Nick Faldo. Right. We're just me and him, and 71st hole we're tied, and he said a driver straight down the middle as usually he did, and I gone with my 1 iron, and I'm sort of going in with a 7 iron. I popped it straight in the hole.
Right.
To take a 2-shot lead going up the 18th hole, but up the 72nd hole with playing for $1 million. Million take all.
Takes care of that though. Every hole at second shots.
Yeah. So that was an experience that obviously set everything up from there on, and 87 was an incredible year for me. I won 8 times or something. So after that, then I got the next few years I won a few tournaments, but then 91 came along. That was was probably a massive year for me as well.
Well, I mean, and it have to be your career highlight, I would have thought. I mean, especially as we're here right now, you're sitting here with the jacket on. Talk to me about 1991. What's the first thing that comes to your head when you think about it?
91, obviously the Masters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about winning the Masters.
Well, talking the Masters, well, I won in a couple of weeks before we got here in New Orleans.
Because you came here as number 1, didn't you?
That Monday morning I came in number 1, and I just stood on the table. I hadn't won a major. It was on are I ever going to win one? It was difficult.
Was it getting to that point?
Yeah, it was getting. I had to.
What will you be? 34, 35?
33 I was.
Right,
and but I think the boost of being world number 1, I thought, I'm the best player here.
Yeah.
I'll show. And that's what happened. I didn't put too well the first day. I shot 72, and then I changed putter to a tad more, and it just changed everything. And I shot 66, 67 the next 2 days. And I was on the Saturday I was playing with my heroes, Tom Watson.
Yeah.
And I played with him again on the last day, and I shot 72. But the Masters is always about the last 9 holes, and that's what they've tried to create again. The last 9 holes. Lost it for a few years, but it's back there again, and it was brilliant. And all you want to do at the Masters, you want to be there for the last 9 holes and stuck in there. And as I think it all folded up, as it all came down to the last hole.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough that other guys made a bogey and I made a par, but that's what the pressure's all about, and I was lucky enough to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I've done one of these podcasts with Marco Mira, and he won here, obviously, and he had the putt to win on the last. I asked him what he was thinking about over that putt. I'll ask you the same question.
Really interesting question, because I've got this sort of 7-footer up the hill, and it couldn't be any better. It's just outside the right lip, and if you're there as a kid, you think I'm Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus, or whatever it is, and you think I'm here, I'm in this situation. What made the pressure off me was a little bit.
Yeah.
If I missed it, I was going into a playoff.
Right, yeah.
And I used that, if I missed it, to relax me a little bit. And,
right.
I think it was my time, because it could have been a left to righter, which is not great for her, but it happened to be. I could see it going in straight away.
Yeah. And as soon as you hit it,
I'm following it. I could see it was going in.
Yeah.
I usually, when I get under pressure, I usually hit them too hard, but that went in perfect.
Yeah. And then you had to fight off wobbly.
He
was everywhere.
He crushed me.
Yeah. That must have been huge validation for you. I mean, because as you say, that you mentioned it significantly, I think, that even when you went to World No.1, but he's never won a major. And all those other guys, you were the last of the 5 to win one.
Yeah.
I think I'm right in saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most
was
probably...
that preying on your mind at that point?
Yeah, of course it was. I don't know where the 5 came from, but most probably when I won the major, that's when the 5 started to come.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so... I was very proud of it, yeah. I'd like to have won more, but I don't know, I messed about with my swing a little bit. And I've said that how many times. I wished I hadn't done it. Don't know why I tried to change. Number 1 in the world, and,
golfers do that, though, don't they?
Yeah, I see now how hard Nick Falder worked. I think I just wanted to be a bit more consistent. But I didn't realise that, I'm a fiery person. It's like, I've got to take with rough and the smooth. Some 1 weeks I'm going to play fantastic, and then other weeks I'm not going to play so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I try to be too consistent.
Yeah. Well, your temperament, since you bring it up, I mean, pluses and minuses, I would have thought, with the way that my impression of you anyway. Yeah. I mean, what's your take on that?
When you're little and small, you've got to be fiery, because there's always people picking on you.
Yeah.
And I've always said the bigger they are, the harder.
I would have picked on you, never mind how tall you are.
Well, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. That was always my attitude. But yeah, it got me in a lot of trouble a lot of times with temper. But and that's why I had to learn to accept having bad shots and doing this right. The great Hogan, he always said, he always used to say, accept 4 bad shots. And the way I looked at it, I'm thinking, well, most of the time I make 4 birdies around. It's more, sometimes less, sometimes more. And then I think if I hit a bad shot and I make a bogey, I'm still having 4 birdies. And then if I can save them somehow, I only dropped 2 shots.
And
it's experience and learning just about yourself. These days they have these psychologists telling them all this, but they're all like robots, aren't they? Yeah.
Okay, let's turn to, winning the Masters comes with a lot of great stuff, if you can call it that. One of the things is that you get to come back here every year. I mean, what's your feeling when you do come back?
Well, it's fantastic to be able to come. You work so hard to get it, and once you get, you're here. You're here for the rest of your life. So, I guess you're going to ask me. I mean, it's 3 times I've decided not to play.
Yeah, well, I remember writing that story 3 times. She's had enough.
Well, I just wanted to be awkward. I suffer from ankylosing spondylitis, and I've got to tell you, it's interesting. Like speaking to Bernard Langer yesterday, and it really kills him around here. And I said, well, you've been taking carts lately? He said, no, I've been walking, but I just find it very difficult around here. Really? Say, I know Tiger, it kills Tiger as well. And, I'd fighting all the time with my back on this golf course, and it's, I played some good golf really, but I just didn't putt very good. But it's too physical for me, and I'm so desperate to play. Yeah. But I could keep playing, play 2 rounds. I don't want to do that. I want to make the cut. I want to put everything in them, and I decided that I even had a back operation to try and do it. Yeah. And then I did finish my last one. And I had the operation, and it still wasn't good enough, and it just wasn't strong enough.
I asked Mark O'Meara the same question on this podcast, and he said he didn't want to be a ceremonial golfer. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to be shooting 78s. And I said, well, the other side of that argument, and I'll put it to you as well, is that people just want to see you play.
Absolutely.
They don't care what you're shooting.
I think you're right, but it's embarrassing for yourself.
I get that.
By the way, 78's not a bad score.
No.
To me, if you want to start playing over 80, that's a waste of time. But it wouldn't it be fantastic if somehow a National Golf Club or the Masters come up with a theory that the past champions could play, and then, like they say, there's 15 of us,
and play
the front
and
play forward, and we go in front of the field every day and play, and the people want to see their heroes play, and that would be nice. And then the field plays out because it's only a small field. We could tee off at 8 o'clock. Yeah. I don't think they'd tee off to.
No, because you'd be taken out of the field.
Yeah, and one thing about the older players, they play so quick.
Yeah.
We'd be round in 3.5 hours.
That's true.
Yeah.
Have you put that to them? You suggest?
No, but it would be really great if that happened.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah, because they kind of touch on it with the ceremonial driving off, but
Yeah, you would get all what's them buttons, and all the people would be moving out onto the course and get them in position because they'll be ready to watch you. It would be quite exciting.
I think you're onto something there.
Well, you're a press man.
Well, I'll write it. Yeah, I mean, it's
speak to your other press men, see what they think.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not going to tell them.
Well,
an exclusive.
you can tell them after you've done it.
Yeah,
it's on print.
That's right. Yeah. So basically, you tell me that the decision to actually finish was a physical thing more than anything. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have kept going.
Yeah.
Might have fetched to an age like Sandy's finishing this week. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We played yesterday, and I mean...
Is it too long for you now, really?
Oh, listen, Sandy hit one of his best drives yesterday. He's hitting it a little bit better yesterday, and he hit a really good one up the 18th, and he had to hit it, and it wasn't even windy.
Right.
And we went off the right to the back. We were at the front of the back tee.
Right.
And it's got another 25 yards to go back, most probably, and if driving a 3 wood for me near enough yesterday.
What did he hit?
He hit this rescue club. And it just went off the back after a great drive. He would have barely got that up if he was on the back tee.
Yeah. Well, since you're touching on distance, I mean, you made a name for yourself recently certainly in the UK papers with some comments on distance and the ball, which I know you think it's taken a wee bit further than it should have been, what you said. But what's your feeling on where we are with the ball and the equipment and the rest of it?
For me, you can understand people getting fit to hit the ball further and further, and in a way, if they're only going to do 5%, it's 15 yards. It's nothing.
No.
It needs to be more than that. Yeah. But again, there's another way of looking at it. Why don't we make the ball? There's nothing wrong with hitting the ball 350 yards. It is making the courses ridiculously. Want to make them 8,000 yards. But if you made a golf ball, let's say we made a golf ball, it's spun again, like a ball ballada, and you come in with 130 mile per hour club head speed, and you get it wrong, you're not going to see this golf ball again. It's going to be 150 yards offline.
Yeah.
And I think it would change the outlook of players playing. I could take a risk and go for it, but I could actually really lose my ball.
And that would affect the setup of the courses.
The setup would be wrong. The greens would have to be, you would spin in the ball off the green, you move the ball better, and it'd be more exciting. So it's one way of just changing the ball.
Yeah.
Make it different.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, I know, but I think that the era that I grew up watching, when you were at your peak, that sort of time was the best golf.
Yeah,
I thought, and better to watch and maybe to play than it is now. The distance should be an advantage, but it's kind of disproportionate now. It's ridiculously out of whack, I think.
Well, let's say, look, I'm 65 years of age and I'm still hitting the ball the same distance,
which you shouldn't be.
And if I play with one of the young guys out there, they're actually physically 100 yards past me. Well, 90, 80 yards past me.
Yeah.
And it's just not that. Then they're going in, if let's say I'm going in with a 5-iron, they're going in with a 7-iron. So it's two of the distances.
Yeah.
And how many yards should we going to do? We're going to make 8,000 yard golf courses or more.
Yeah.
It's more land, it's more watering. It's I can understand the manufacturers being upset at what's going to go on. But like I said in my article the other day, why don't we have clubs for professionals That's what we're playing with. The amateurs can play with whatever they like.
Yeah, yeah.
And it would even it up. We could actually play off the same tees.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've said this, on this podcast before. I mean, the dirty little secret of the game is that, the vast majority of people have got terrible technique, and it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever if you've got bad technique, what equipment you're using.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to help you. Your technique.
Well, the thing is, you could have a bad technique, but you could swing the club at 125 miles per hour, but it could go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I can understand that youngsters. It's a thrill to hit it 350 yards.
Yeah. But I don't think you can stand behind a tee and see somebody hit it 350 and know the difference between that and a 290.
No,
you're not going to know.
No, until you see like yesterday. I watched Zaratorres. Is it hit 3 wood down the 10th hole, and I thought, he's running the edge of. He's going to kick left, that go down. Yeah. Well, actually, when he got down there, because we're on the tee waiting, he's carried over where it kicks left, and he's hit 340 yards. And I'm like...
Yeah, with the 3-wood.
The 3-wood, and I'm thinking, my goodness gracious, as you say, it's going in the air. I thought, well, that's going... that's going to go pitch 270 and go down there, but it's pitched like 300.
Yeah, and he's not the longest.
No,
anyway.
I know. It's
Yeah. We're going to have to talk about this. What do you make of the state of the game at the moment at the top level, the Live v the World, basically? What's your feeling about all that? Yeah,
it's I said you can see guys go into the Live if their sort of careers easing off. They haven't got any world ranking points. I can't understand why they can't play 4 rounds, and somehow they have a qualification for it. I feel like they did that. What's the problem?
It would have more credibility, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and I think it is, exactly. So just make it 4 rounds, and then have a qualification if it's through. Yeah. If it's through the Asian Tour or whatever it is, give the guys an option to get on it, and then you get your world ranking points. And what's the problem?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's caused a hell of a lot of trouble. Which is disappointing, but it was almost inevitable. And I think Greg Norman's presence, like it or not, is part of that issue, because he rubs people up the wrong way and has done for a while.
I've always been friendly with Greg. I haven't seen much of him lately. This is what he wanted to do years ago, and he's obviously found the right backers for this.
Yes,
with a lot of money, and but hopefully in the end, golf will be the winner. That's all I can say, really. But and I do hope this end. It's interesting to see what the PGA Tour are doing now. All of a sudden, they're finding all this money, and where's the European DP Tour going in? This is we get 10 spots to go off the European tournament, so we're losing our 10 best players every year, and I just don't know.
I made this point to Mark O'Meara when we did the podcast with him, is that when they introduced all these elevated events there was nothing in Europe. I mean, the Scottish Open in Wentworth would have been the 2 obvious ones, but it is a terrible look. It just looks like the European Tour's being pushed aside.
I agree.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying what was going on with these new 20 tournaments or everything. So then, how many of our players get into that top? They don't get in it unless they're...
It's going to be a hard road to the PGA Tour now for younger lads, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So, if the Live come up with some different way that the European Tour players can get into that or whatever, there's got to be something coming.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel about this arbitration thing that's going to be coming up? I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for the European Tour to lose it.
Well... No, then
I was in the Middle East. Sorry to interrupt. In the Middle East at the start of this year, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and if you'd taken the Live guys out of those fields, it was pretty thin.
Yeah. Well, you guys are making so much money, and they put more pressure to stay in America to play. So, what are all these other tournaments? What players are going to get? So, in a way, you're right. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's as I say, it's a funny position to be in.
Well, I've gone past it, so don't worry me too.
No, I understand, but you're an informed observer. I mean, you.
Yeah, well,
what would it have been like if you transport yourself back 30 years and?
Well, it's
Would you have gone?
If I was playing for money, You certainly got to think about it. I've always said I always wanted to have the nice house and everything to go with it. Yes, I would have thought about it. But another thing, it was great. Tiger did an article saying, you want to have you're playing for history. Are you playing for history on the Live Tour, or are you playing history where all the majors and all the major tournaments are? That's why I say if they get the 4 rounds and they get the world ranking points going, they get into the majors and they get into the whatever tournament, and they start their own tour, or they have got their own tour.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this to Lee Westwood too, so I'm not talking out of school here. If I'm typical, my biggest thing with the Live thing is or their biggest problem, people like me, is that I don't care. I'm not interested really. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything to me who wins, and that thing,
Yeah,
and that's the problem. As you mentioned the history aspect of it. There's nothing like that.
I haven't even watched it yet.
No, I mean neither. Yeah, so,
I didn't even know who won. I've seen Brooks won, and so that he's obviously getting into some form.
Yeah.
We'll see how they perform this way. I see, they're all going to be on the 18th green.
Yeah.
If they're always going to stay around, and if someone says you're only got to make the cut first, but that's not a difference. Guys will just stay for another couple of days.
When people hear this podcast, it'll all have been done and dusted. But it's going to be interesting from this angle Monday before the Masters starts, as to there's a bit of pressure on these guys, Cam Smith, and because they're going to, if they don't perform, it's going to be easy to say, well, you've made a mistake.
Yeah. What are I doing on Tuesday night? Now, that was a question for you.
Well, I'm getting to that, believe me. Again, I talked to Mark O'Meara about this. I keep harping back to
That'll
that.
Be interesting. You can tell me what he said later.
What do you think it's going to be like?
Well, it will be quite interesting, because obviously there's some neutrals in between. A lot of guys are just observers of it. And it'll be interesting to see if there's anybody going to say it. It will be Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, maybe.
Phil always saying something.
Right.
And he can blabber on.
Yeah.
And then you might have, like you've seen, Freddie was winding people up the other day. It's quite, how much are you going to pay me to put a little badge on to video it?
Yeah. Well, Mark's feeling on it was that, again, this will be all water under the bridge by the time people listen to this, but he thought that people would have too much respect for this place. They'll just keep quiet and,
Absolutely. I think that's what I said. If there's anybody going to say anything, it will be Phil. And he'll be the one to disturb anything. Or Gary.
Sergio.
And Sergio. I just can't say it. I think that's a good point of Mark's just said. I think I have too much respect. Why do you want to fetch them issues into?
Because you'd be the bad guy if you'd be the one to speak up.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to say anything.
No. I mean, the guy who
I
did
just want
would
to eat
be
the steak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you looking forward to that?
I am. I'm looking. Oh, it was last year. It was brilliant because I waited for the Kobe steak last. Thinking, I won't eat too much. I'll wait for the Kobe. And then 4 little slivers.
Is that right?
I think I had a burger on the way home.
Is that right? Yeah.
I'll have to go to the Outback.
Yeah. What are these things like generally? I mean, it's the one thing that you guys are the only ones in the room, and we only get snippets of what goes on.
Well, basically, it's the Champions Dinner from last year and the Champions past. But basically, we have a bit of sushi, sashimi before we go in, and then basically we take a picture, and then the champion sits on the top and with the chairman and Ben Crenshaw. So Ben sits up there, and we have our starters, and then they sort of do a presentation of the medal to which will be to what's his first name? Scotty, yeah. To Scotty. I think I'm losing everything. Yeah. To Scotty, and then he'll do a speech. Ben will do a speech.
Right. Yeah.
If there's any changes going on, he goes on about a lot of history and everything, which Ben's really good at that. And then we all just sit down and have something to eat and sign the menus all around. And
do you sit in the same place every year?
Not all the time, no. Moved around a little bit. It'll be interesting where I'm going to sit this time.
Who do you usually have?
You sit by Sandy. I'll sit by Fuzzy.
Right.
Because Fuzzy's always great fun. Bob Colby next to me, usually shouting down my ear, going on about
anymore.
No. I don't know. Last year I sat with more of the South African boys, so that was quite interesting. But we'd then basically chairman says, anybody want to say anything? And we all tell a few jokes.
Yeah. Have you spoken up? Give me an example.
I just said some dirty jokes, which is like
there's nothing you can share here.
No, there's just nothing.
Yeah.
No, nothing gets said really.
Yeah. How long does it usually last?
2 hours.
Really?
Yeah. it's just basic, like typical pros just want to get out of there. We have some nice wines and everything. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. It's nice seeing everybody together.
Yeah. Is it nice coming back and not playing? I mean, what's that like compared with no pressure, obviously?
Yeah, what's disappointing for me a little bit is if my family's not here, I haven't got any badges to take it really into the clubhouse, and I'm here. I've got my green jackets. Another role I'd like to see maybe changed or suggested that, I think the members of the club and the public like to see like me with the jacket and all the other players with the jacket. But for me, I find it if I can't get him in the clubhouse to have dinner with and whatever, I find it very difficult. I know I've got my DJs with me. He's my manager. And which he is my manager now.
Is he?
Yeah. So he's helped me out as my manager, but I don't want to hang around if I haven't got my friends here. So if a suggestion like, if we can't use our family tickets, can you give us some other tickets so we can fetch some friends in? Yeah. I got like Eric Hurd here and David Nelson. Right. Yeah. It'd be nice.
You've always been a social animal, of course.
Yes, exactly. I'd love to be in green jacket, sitting down on the lawn there, waving, talking to people. You can't do that by yourself, really.
No.
You want to have your friends around with you.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. So, but how many badges do players get normally?
Well, you get your family badges. Yeah. You get your family badges, which is, and basically you get your son-in-law or daughter-in-law badges as well. So I got 4 kids.
Right.
You don't get grandchildren tickets.
Really?
No, so it's just your immediate family. So at the moment, it's basically 5 tickets. 5.
Yeah, your wife and 4, 2, your kids and their spouses. Yeah. It's not many, is it? Really?
No, it's like say like.
Because I was hoping to tap you up for one next year.
It's like if I could say to him, well, if they're not coming, can I give you 2 of my seasonal tickets?
Can you buy more? I mean, they're not expensive in terms of
No, you can't buy any more. They just say that's the many you get, and that's it.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's not brilliant, is it? Really?
Well, not really, but they've got you. Look, if you've got 10 kids, and they're all got spouses.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
they can't have the grandchildren. They might have. Well, Gary's got like how many grandchildren? He's got like 30 grandchildren.
That's true.
So it's difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, he's said some interesting things recently. I mean,
it's very interesting.
Very
I don't know what's going on there. You'll find out more tomorrow, perhaps.
Well, I mean, it made no sense to go public with some of that stuff. I mean, he was never going to look great doing it, but hey-ho. So.
Exactly. It's just making him look the bad boy for some reason.
Yeah.
And you don't really want to have that.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, we're going to jump around a little bit here, but I don't want to go. This is old ground a bit, I think, but people maybe not heard it. The famous extra club in the bag story. I mean, how much do you still think, sit over a pint and think, bloody hell,
I honestly don't think about it.
No.
And if I did think, I think it'd drive me nuts, but. Yeah. As I've always said, if is a big word, isn't it? If I just taken the lead,
aye.
I was on form.
Yeah, because you'd basically stiffed it off the tee.
Yeah, and I'd won a major. Pressure was off. All I was thinking about was winning. It would have been prestigious for me to put the Open Championship on me, but it financially wouldn't have made any difference really. But so I was just free rolling, and as soon as that happened, it took for a few holes to get over it. Well, I didn't really get over it, but did all right in the end.
Yeah, I mean, and the unfortunate thing was, any other course but Lytham, you would have spotted it.
Absolutely, I know, and God, it's just a strange. I just tried another driver on the range, metal shaft. Yeah. I was using a graphite shaft, and at the end of the day, I was only using it 4 times as well. It didn't. Yeah.
But if it'd been any Lytham, for people who don't know, it starts with a par 3, so you weren't using the driver.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, it's a mistake. It's an easy mistake sometimes, but it's anyway. Bygones will be bygones, won't they? Yeah. So.
Let me jump back to the Ryder Cup. Your captaincy was clearly very successful, albeit a terrible American team just between the two of us.
Yeah.
But and DJ, when I wrote the story in the World Golf Hall of Fame booklet thing when you got in on you, and I spoke to DJ Russell for that, one of your closest friends, and he told me a story about you when he was in the cart with you, and he sort of asked to be taken aside to a bit away from everybody, and you burst into tears.
Yeah.
Tell us why. I mean, that doesn't sound like you, but it was obviously an emotional week.
Yeah, it was an emotional week.
Yeah.
and then, you know, as you say, it wasn't the strongest American team, but you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think it all started before it. You must probably read the article with
the Thomas Bjorn thing, yeah.
And
he didn't get picked, for people who don't remember.
Yeah, and he put a lot of pressure on me, personally pressure, and that's what it was about.
Right, okay.
It was, all of a sudden, we'd won, you know. I'm not an idiot or whatever I was going to be.
Well, I think DJ was quite taken aback, as well as he knows you. Yeah. You know, the one of the toughest. I think he's something.
No, I'm a very emotional person.
Yeah, but he said one of the toughest little guys I've ever known.
Yeah.
Just burst into tears. Yeah. I mean,
it's like
you're Welsh, you know.
Yeah.
Welsh people are emotional.
Yeah, I couldn't. It's almost like, you know, when all I could see was red. You know, it's almost like. It was all taking over, and I just, you know, then DJ, there's no way we can. It was impossible.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't get through to me.
Yeah. Has golf ever done that to you before?
What?
Like just spontaneously, you know, start to cry.
Coming up the 18th year 2 years ago, yeah.
Right, when you were done.
Yeah. No, not really. No.
But that's a different thing. That would be a slow, you know.
Yeah, only
it's
like
a different kind of tears, isn't it?
It's like winning a tournament. I don't think all I'm thinking about is winning the next tournament.
Yeah.
So like DJ said, you know, where they used to think, well, I'm just playing golf to just do all right. And I mean, where I was just saying, how many tournaments are you going to win?
Yeah.
It's like...
Well, that's a mentality you've got.
Yeah, I had a different mentality a little bit, yeah.
So the captaincy, what was your... Did you have any great theories on being a captain, having been in the team? You'd seen a few captains and how it was done, and probably seen instances where it, you know, you don't want to do that, whatever it was, you know.
Well, I just went down Tony Jatlin's way. I thought he was a fantastic captain, and he made everything feel personal. He made you feel so much of the team.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I wanted to make sure we're playing. As I say,
there was no outside.
You're all stallions.
Yeah.
There's no superstars in it. That was my first words. You know, something you can't, and that's why, you know, you've got to be a great player to have that respect to say that for a start. You know what I mean?
You would have that, you know. Obviously.
Yes, you know, it's a bit like Paul McGinley. He's won some tournaments, but it's a different quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he changed the way it was done a lot,
and he changed where the way is that sort of methodically. Yeah. He changed it into a different way, which was fantastic in a way.
Yeah.
Well, we could do it the other way a bit, and you know, and as you say, for me, with the K Club, the way it was playing long, fairly wet, is I had my teams set up months and months before. I was working it every day. Yeah. When it was quite interesting. Peter Baker was there as well, and we're on. The teams came out. It was playing the first day, and I left 4 out. Luke Donald's one. I've left number 6 in the world, number 11 out.
Yeah,
Stenson.
I remember that. Yeah.
And they've come out and said to Biggs, they wanted to know when are they playing. So I got on the buggy, went down. I think it was down on the 8th tee. It was.
Yeah.
I said, "You'll be playing tomorrow.
Yeah.
You'll be playing in the afternoon."
Yeah.
And he said, "Who are we playing with?"
Yeah.
I said, "Look, you're playing tomorrow."
Yeah.
You know, and I went with pretty well the first day in the 4 balls, whatever, with length. Only the shortest person who was a Lazabelle.
Right. Yeah.
But I wanted him to play with Sergio.
Yeah.
You know, the Spanish and the determination between the two of them. It's just, you know, and which we just got off to a flyer, and it all rolled in from there, really. Yeah.
And you had the Darren Clark thing.
That was very
How did you handle that?
Yeah. Well,
for people who don't remember, Darren's wife had sadly died of cancer.
Yeah, she had 6 months before that. So, and when I rung up Darren, I said, "Look, when she passed, you were playing fantastic golf. I want you to play."
Yeah.
And he took a week or so to answer me, and he said, "Play," and it was very emotional.
Yes.
That's another time I cried.
Yeah.
Thinking about
the first tee, I was there. That was
unbelievable. Never seen anything like that.
No.
But when it's amazing. If it had been 10 minutes more early, he would have been the winner of the all match on that green.
Yes. Yeah.
And I can obviously he's in tears and everything. And I just said to him, "Look, destiny, mate. It was your destiny to be part of this.
Yeah, I always thought Zach Johnson handled that really well.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah,
he
pick it up.
Yeah,
he was still one of them.
Yeah. He had enough. Yeah. He could see. Well, Darren was having a hard time. Keeping it going. At that point. Yeah, quite understandably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we could have played Darren every day. But I just felt it was too emotional.
He played once every day, didn't he?
Once every day, and I just didn't want to burn him out for that last day.
Yeah.
And so we made that decision to leave him out, although he was playing good.
Yeah. Are you glad you did it, in retrospect? Because, I think you were kind of... You're not... Public speaking, I think, was an issue for you. And that kind of thing. It must have been... Did you have to think about whether you wanted to do it?
First day, no. I wasn't doing it. First day, when they got my phone call, I got the guy Sam had to help him through the speech.
Oh yeah, the Scottish guy,
Scottish guy, yeah. And I spoke to him. He came over, I think, and he wrote what there, but I just cut it out. But he was very interesting, where he says like, you do a line and then you leave like 10 dots. That means you stop, and then you go the next. Yeah, it was
interesting.
Yeah. Unless you drop your notes on the floor, like I did at the Hall of Fame.
I know, yeah. Again, I keep harping back to Mark O'Meara, but I think he knows he dodged a bullet not being captain that year, because he was in contention. He's quite happy to leave it to Tom Lehman.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew it was. I think that was the thing, because Tom is such a hard man as well. Not no respect. He's in a fighting sort of. Yeah. And but the trouble is, you could see they were struggling. We're putting our teams in. Our teams in, and they were asking for extra time, and that's a bad sign. That means you've got your other players are trying to persuade you to do this or do that. You're the captain.
You're playing a bit of senior golf these days, obviously. Do you, like me? Yeah, I fear for the future, the long-term future of the senior tour, because they make so much money now that a lot of them are not going to have the motivation to play when they get to the 50s and whatnot.
There you go. It's it's a bit different in Europe, because I feel sorry for the guys in Europe, because there's no pension schemes or anything, and the guys who've sort of made the tour, not me, but the guys who've been part of that tour on the European Senior Tour now, we've put 40 years into being a professional golfer, and we're playing for €300,000. I think there's some money coming in from the tour at last, and we got Stayshore. Ryan's put money into it, but it's pro-ams all the time. It's the only way we can raise the money. And you see the amount of money they're playing on the main tours, and this is what we're got. These guys are not going to go and play for.
No, they're not.
But the trouble is, what are you going to do when you get to 50?
Well, yeah. What do pro golfers do exactly? They play golf.
Well, if you're not into yes, exactly. Yeah. For me, I love playing with my mates. Yeah, and playing, and that's what keeps me going.
I know you did that to me before. There's a social aspect for you, because you've made your money. You're not really worried about the money.
I go to the seniors, and I go there for fun. Yeah. The trouble is, sometimes I'm having too much fun. Yeah. Well. So then you don't really play your best.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that. And it's you and I have talked about it before. Is your social life, if we can put it that way, do you think that hurt you or hindered you, or did it make no difference because that was you?
That was me, wasn't it? The question is, if I was playing in this era, would I do what they're doing? Yeah, of course I would. Yeah. If I wanted to be the best in the world, I'd have to change. And when we were playing, I could get away with it. I was a very lucky person when I could have a few drinks and it didn't really affect me. Yeah. My dad always used to say, but I'd get a right bollocking off him. A fit body's a fit mind. So I think I had a reasonably, it's always chunky. Yeah. I was always really reasonably fit, golf fitness.
Yes,
I was, yeah.
And but it was always strong.
And it was always the 12-hour rule for me.
Which was?
You can't have a drink
within 12 hours of teeing off.
Playing off, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So you can, much as you like, then you go.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way of looking at it. Yeah. As I say,
unless you missed a cut.
I used to, I used to just shake my head, because I said, well, that's what he does. Yeah. I don't think it was ever going to did it ever, did you ever make a mistake and have too much and feel bad, or did you blow a tournament because you weren't sober or sober enough? Or,
well, the first tournament we won is Swiss Open. I said
I've never heard you say that, so I can assume.
In 1982, DJ's son was born, Christopher,
right,
on the Saturday night. So we went out sure about celebrating. I won the next day.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I mean it's horses for courses.
It is,
things like that. Yeah.
Like something like the Ryder Cup, you don't do that. I remember Sevi saying to me, you can't, just got to stop drinking. I said, Sevi, if I stop, I'm only having 2 or 3 beers. It's not like I'm having 10 beers.
Yeah. I mean, if I was your captain, I said, Woosie, just do what you normally do.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like the same for if you don't drink, you don't have to drink. If you drink, do exactly what you do every single week you play, and that's what I did.
You
really
treat it as something different and special. You won't perform
exactly. Yeah, and that's what happened. A lot of major people like Jackie says, are the easiest tournaments to win because everybody's trying to do. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I got to chip more. I know. And that's when you put pressure on yourselves.
Yeah. Last question is again. This will come out after the Masters, but what are you most looking forward to this week?
Champions dinner.
Right.
I don't know. I hear I heard the weather. Well, I can't really say.
Great, I think.
The weather's going to be
Saturday
shocking.
Weekend. It's not
yeah. So let's say that the weather was crap. But I'm just looking forward to the old tournament to see who wins. Course is in great nick. It was playing pretty slow yesterday. Playing long, but
doesn't mean much,
green doesn't mean nothing. Do whatever they like. But I think that could be, in a way, this weather could be playing into Rory's hands. I think I'd like to see Rory win.
He's the best Rory from a journalist's point of view.
I think it would be nice to see him. I don't see why he can't. It's when I played this course first time, I thought, if I'm going to win a major, this is where I win. It's a nice big eye draw, boom.
Yeah. In a lot of ways, it's made for him. The only question mark has been did he putt well enough to do it?
Well, and that's one thing. When it's wet and he hits it a long way, and the ball's stopping on the greens. And he's going in with short irons, and he's a good enough player to put the ball in the right position. I think when I won, I most probably one of the worst ever putts won the tournament.
What, the putt you hit?
I mean, the amount of putts.
I see, right. The number of putts.
Like, I remember a putt, let's say average 32 around, whatever it was.
Yeah, right.
Because I hit a lot of greens, and I put the ball in the right position. Yeah, so if you can get the ball in the right position, it's funny. You either get a guy who's like Elazabeth Elias, that's brilliant, pen crunch up and down. Yeah. It's strange, this course. Guys are either look at last year, it was incredible. The guys all in the putts after putts after putts. Right. I was really jealous. Yeah, really jealous. So I tell you the story about. I've just got a speech here yesterday. I said, what's your sand down? I hear it's 4 degrees bounce on it. He said, yeah, but it's less than that. And he says, I've just changed my sand down. You can have mine. So I've got his sand down. So I don't think I've got a chip like him.
No, well, you do well if you did.
I would do. Yeah. I might even play again.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, hopefully your prediction on Rory will, when people listen to this, they'll be either thinking, well, Ian Woosnam really knows what he's talking about, or, oh, my goodness, what a load of rubbish.
Well, exactly. Not seeing about a game of golf.
Swings and roundabouts.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ian, thank you for your time.
Not a problem.
It's enjoyable as ever. Always fun to talk to you, and thanks again.
All right, mate. Cheers.
What a privilege it is to get an insight into the minds of some of these great champions and their memories of one of the game's great cathedrals. And doesn't it just whet the appetite for the weekend of golf ahead? Now, next week we resume normal programming when Huggy, still in the driver's seat, sits down for a really fascinating interview with long-time sort of adversary and former secretary of the R&A, Peter Dawson.
Well, golf is a very difficult game to dominate because the nature of the sport, it's not like a 100-metre swim or 200-metre swim where the fastest swimmer 9 times out of 10 wins. Golf isn't like that. And and that's what makes Tiger so extraordinary. His win percentage was something like 30%, wasn't it? And that's extraordinary in golf.
That's a peek behind the curtain of one of the game's most important institutions next time on The Thing About Golf.